going on, everybody? I'm back with another YouTube video. Now, today's video, guys, we're going to be doing a movie review that I've been waiting to do for quite some time. It is going to be the National Treasure movie review, but first, I do have some announcements to make. Okay, so first off, I apologize for my schedule being a bit inconsistent, and also the streams. I haven't even really been doing those a whole lot. Don't worry about me. I have been trying to enjoy my summer as much as possible. I've been, going swimming and doing a bunch of other family activities. We had a birthday party the other day for my brother and stuff like that, so we did some activities and stuff like that. So I've been keeping myself occupied and not really focusing on YouTube too much. But I figured it's best time to get this movie review done today because I have plenty of time to do that. So we're going to be getting the National Treasure movie review out of the way. For upcoming videos, other than any movie reviews, I'm going to have to watch some more movies again so that I can refresh my memory and do more movie reviews. But I'm going to be, after I'm done with this video, editing my perk suggested buffs for perks and DVD video. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to have to record some gameplays to put in the background of that video. And what else was I going to say? Oh, and I was also thinking about doing a video for suggested buffs for add-ons in DVD, but we'll see about that in the future. And yeah, I'll just tell you when I come up with an idea for a video. I'll tell you in the community post, so make sure you read those. Join the Discord. The link will always be in the description of every video. And quick thing, in case you aren't on the Discord, I'm going to be playing Pyramid Head this year, so I got the first piece to the costume, which is the headpiece. I'm going to get the knife next, and probably buy the suit in town. It won't be the exact, clothing that he wears, but it will be hopefully something very similar. And what else was I going to say? Is there anything else other than that? But yeah, I've been a little bit busy because I've been trying to get a job, been making some videos, just been keeping myself occupied. So don't worry about how inconsistent the schedule is, and me not streaming and stuff like that, because it probably just means that I'm trying to get occupied. Like I said, trying to get a job, trying to enjoy my summer. But yeah, other than that, make sure you join the Discord. Link will always be in the description. The reason why I mention that is because the Discord is very, very dead right now. So people who are on the Discord, this is just a wake-up alert. Try to start up some conversations. That's what I've been trying to do for the past few days. Not really getting any responses. I'm not going to force you to do that, but I would just, try to spark up something. Other than that, let's get on to the movie review. So it's been a few weeks since I've watched these two movies, so my memory is not going to be the absolute best, but this is the first time I watched both of these movies, and after watching the first one, I decided to go to the store and get the two DVDs because I saw this one on TV, so I wanted to get the two DVDs so that I could watch them whenever I want to in the future. So I eventually watched The Book of Secrets as well when I got the DVD. So National Treasure is a Disney movie, believe it or not, but obviously, it's not really put on Disney a whole lot because it's much like Percy Jackson, where it's more for teenagers and even adults in some cases. It's not really for kids, especially if you're below the age of 12. You're not really going to understand a whole lot of what's in here and stuff like that. So that's pretty much the reason why it isn't really shown on Disney a whole lot, is because it's more of like a teenage Disney movie, not really a little kids Disney movie. Both of these movies, National Treasure, I like to say the year that it came out. Both of these movies, well, I shouldn't say both. One of the movies came out in 2005, which was National Treasure, and Book of Secrets, I believe, came out in 2008, if I'm not incorrect. Yes, 2008. So early 2000s, and both of them are a little over 2 hours long. So they're longer movies for sure. So oh, Jesus Christ. What are these two movies about? So starting off with National Treasure, By the way, I guess I did this with the Percy Jackson movies, and I said that what are both of these movies about? Basically, both of these movies are about this guy named Ben Gates, I believe, who is kind of a adventurer. He's very fascinated with American history, and he likes to uncover clues. He's kind of like an archaeologist, but not really for, digging up fossils. He's trying to unveil, like, secrets in American history, or, solve puzzles and stuff like that. He's like this really ambitious, kind of nerdy adventurer who's really, really obsessed with American history and stuff like that. And you'll see that in these movies. He is very, very obsessed with things, and he really shows his nerdiness in this movie. It's weird seeing Nicolas Cage be a nerd of the movie, because I'm so used to seeing Nicolas Cage in like Ghost Rider and stuff like that, and he acts like a complete doofus in those movies. But in National Treasure, he's like this quirky, nerdy, like just ambitious. He almost acts kind of like childlike. He's just so ambitious with some of his things that he does. But yeah, if you're interested in like American history and like, mystery movies and stuff like that, these are the movies for you. So that's basically the core concept of both movies, but both of them have a different obviously a different mystery that they're trying to solve. So in National Treasure, the first one, the mystery that they're trying to solve is they believe that there is some kind of key on the back of the Declaration of Independence that would lead them to some sort of treasure, basically. So they go off by trying to steal the Declaration of Independence, and they do become successful, but what's making it harder for them to try to convince or to keep a hold of the Declaration of Independence and try to solve this mystery is that, number one, they have another group that's trying to go after the Declaration of Independence, because at the beginning of the movie, the two groups were together, but one of the guys got a little bit greedy, and he went rogue and tried to basically take the the thing that would help them solve the puzzle, and leaves Ben Gates and his friend Riley behind. So he's trying to steal the Declaration of Independence, and when they do eventually get the Declaration of Independence, it's kind of like a tug of war of who has it and whatnot. And also, of course, the authorities are, trying to protect the Declaration of Independence. So when they do get a hold of it, they're, they keep asking him questions of why you did this. And Ben Gates is like, well, are you going to send me to jail for this? They're like, well, that's kind of like the only option. Of course, in this movie, they don't send him to jail. Instead, they like trick Ian, the guy who created the other group and is also trying to get the Declaration of Independence. They try to like trick Ian so that they can arrest him, because he was like the one who wanted to steal the Declaration of Independence and do something bad with it. Ben Gates was trying to do something good with it. Like, his idea was that if he stole the Declaration of Independence and he solved this puzzle, it would like protect the Declaration of Independence. It's really, really weird. Like, if you read the critics' consensus on this, it doesn't have a bad score. Like, the score is like a 6 out of 10 based on like a 1 to 10 scale. That's like a 60% of like the critics were like satisfied with this film. But in both consensuses, oh my god, I'm sorry guys, for these films, they love to like mimic or like basically joke around with this film by like how improbable this film is. And yes, both of these films, usually I don't like to complain about like, movie reality and how things, just happen to fall in place in movies. Because like I'm not like CinemaSins or whatever, which is actually a very, very good channel. But in this movie, some of the things that they do are so improbable that it's really worth talking about. That's the only thing that really holds back these two movies, I'll say that right now, is that the improbability in these movies is just off the charts. But you kind of just have to go with the flow and just, forget about it, because the movie is still pretty entertaining despite all the cliche moments and improbability with, how things just happen to happen and how they get away with certain things in these movies, but it's still pretty entertaining. So I'm glad that, just because of that one little thing, well, not a little thing, but just because of like that, the whole, movie reality. I like to call it movie reality, is because every movie basically has something where they have to do something improbable to make something work. So I'm glad that they didn't take that and they brought the score down because of that, because I think the idea of both of these movies is actually pretty cool. So what is the Book of Secrets about? The Book of Secrets is, I'll say this right now, not a very bad sequel. I thought that the whole mystery that they were trying to solve was actually still pretty interesting. And the mystery that they're trying to solve in this one has to do with the American Civil War, and they believe that there is a Civil War hero that is not really talked about called Thomas Gates, who's actually an ancestor of Ben Gates' family. And they're trying to solve the mystery behind his legacy and stuff like that. So that's what basically the Book of Secrets is about, and you can expect the same thing from, the first National Treasure. Like, very similar things go down. They travel across the world to try to, get some of the pieces to the puzzle and stuff like that. Not all over the world, but in important places, in critical places in American history to, get these puzzles and pieces to the puzzle and put them together. So that's what the Book of Secrets is about. So I wanted to just give a quick explanation, because if I went on and on and on about trying to explain National Treasure, this movie review would be too long, and I don't want to make these movie reviews too long because I've realized I've been doing that. And also, it probably just wouldn't make sense to you. So I would check out these movies to, get the understanding of what they are about and stuff like that. So I think both of these movies are really solid. It isn't this case where, the sequel is really bad or both of the movies are really bad for whatever reason. I think both of these movies are pretty solid. They do have some problems. I think the plot could have been done better to make things not so improbable and, make it a little bit look better, towards the critics and stuff like that. Unfortunately, that's very hard to do with the concept of stealing the Declaration of Independence. It's gonna be improbable somehow. But I think they both have very interesting ideas. I think they're interesting despite having lots of cliche moments and stuff like that. If you're like a teacher, this is the movie to show to your kids, especially if you're like a history teacher. I know my history teachers, they like to feature this movie a lot, whenever we have like, a free day or whatever. So National Treasure, the first one, what am I going to give the first National Treasure? I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I think, obviously, like I said, I have to kind of push these movies back at least a little bit for having that improbable plot and stuff like that. I think some things could have been changed and altered to make a little bit more sense, so it's less confusing, especially the idea behind what they're doing and stuff like that. Sometimes that is a little bit confusing, I'll admit that. The whole improbability with the plot, that could have been altered to make it a little bit better. Those cliche moments could have been changed. I thought the jokes in this film, I forgot to mention this, were actually pretty good. Nothing wrong with that. Very, very good, especially for teenagers. They're not like fart jokes or whatever and stuff like that. I think the jokes are pretty solid. I think that all brings it together as this film being a solid 7 out of 10. Like I said, have to hold it back at least a little bit. If I didn't hold it back, this movie would probably be an 8 out of 10. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say about the first National Treasure. And the second National Treasure, the Book of Secrets, I think also gets a 7 out of 10. I think these movies are very, very, very similar, despite the story being different. That the story for National Treasure 2 was actually still very, very interesting. The only thing that I think, despite obviously things being a little bit improbable, or I should say very improbable in both of these films, I thought the improbability was a little less in Book of Secrets, but the thing that held it back for me is I think that the movie dragged along a little bit too much. I just thought some parts were a little bit unnecessary and stuff like that. So I wish this movie wasn't as long as it was, and if they could have changed the plot somehow, it could have made it a little bit more interesting. And a lot less boring towards the end of the movie, but I still think it very, very interesting, especially like the first half of this movie is very, very great in my opinion. So Book of Secrets also gets a 7 out of 10. I would feel bad if I gave this movie a 6 out of 10 because I don't really agree with the critics' number one, and I don't think this movie is slightly above average. I think it is a very solid kids movie. This is one of those movies where it has an interesting concept. It is great for teenagers, and it doesn't have that problem like a lot of kids movies does, unfortunately, where the jokes are really, really bad and they're too focused on getting a quick buck rather than making an interesting story. And National Treasure, both of these movies do not fail at making an interesting story. So that is it for the movie review. Alright, so finally I got that movie review out of the way. Oh my god, guys, I am so sorry. Obviously, I'm very, very glad about that now that I just made that gaffe. Anyways, make sure you stay tuned for more possible movie reviews, gameplays, and DVD content. Also, make sure you stay tuned for near daily streams. I will be streaming probably a lot the rest of this week, trying out the new Resident Evil chapter, grinding, trying to get the new perks and stuff like that. So make sure you stay tuned for that stuff. And yeah, I'll try to be uploading, especially for streams, a little bit more consistently. For YouTube videos, it's still going to be a little bit slow for some of the videos that I'm making. The editing process is going to be pretty slow. But I think that's all the announcements I have to make, other than make sure you read the community post so that you can stay updated and join the Discord. Link is in the description. Keep it lively for those of you who are in there. And yeah, that is it. Like and subscribe, guys, and I'll see you next time.